no. I just bought this Lexus SC400 and it is a complete basket case, but these are known to be the gentleman's Toyota Supra, and we're gonna rebuild this here on the channel into the ultimate GT styled street car. The SC400 has an all-aluminum 4-liter V8 engine boasting a healthy 250 horsepower, but it was not offered with a manual transmission, so we will fix that in this video. This is the same legendary 1UZ engine that powered the million-mile Lexus, and it's so reliable it even became an FAA certified aircraft power plant. The Sports Coupe was marketed heavily as a refined, classy, luxury alternative to the Toyota Supra, and it even cost more than the Supra when new. But now 32 years later, the average price of a Supra is $73,000, and well, be prepared to laugh when you find out how much I paid for this SC400. This 550-mile round-trip journey to Memphis, Tennessee started out with a big storm system moving in consisting of rain, sleet, and snow. I really wanted this particular car due to one very sought-after option, or lack thereof, but I had to move quickly as temperatures were plummeting and the risk of ice forming on the roads was growing by the minute. How bad do I want this car? Pretty bad. Pretty bad. Well, I just picked up a straggler. This is Andrew Corey Smith. We're here in Tupelo, Mississippi, and he's very tall. He's corn-fed here, right?
Yeah, corn-fed.
Do y'all have cornfields here?
A couple.
When we get there, you'll see what kind of car it is.
All right.
Memphis is known as
Dolphland. And Elvis died in Memphis. We're in the hometown of Elvis right now, so.
Really? Tupelo?
Yeah, this is where he was born at. Matter of fact, his house is just like right down the road, about a mile and a half.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Was it Neverland Ranch his?
No, that I don't know what Neverland Ranch is.
See it right there in the corner. What kind of car is that, Andrew?
Oh, it looks like an SC400.
That is correct! I began checking over this Lexus with the owner, who himself is a car enthusiast who also happens to have a Nissan Z as well. Since the asking price was low at only $1,000, my expectations were also low. I just wanted to make sure it was structurally sound. The price is not bad considering it was $42,000 back in 1993, which today, after factoring for inflation, is roughly $93,000. The reason I wanted this particular car is it does not have a sunroof, which is extremely hard to find. I prefer to not have one because it adds extra weight high up in the car, it takes away headroom, and I think it looks way better without it, and also it's less things to break and one less spot to have water leaks. I just like my cars very simple. Since the car currently does not run, we're having to position it to where I can winch this up on my trailer and tow it home.
It's a nice setup for a lowly Alabama boy.
I made it myself, if you can't tell. If it doesn't rip out of the trailer, we'll be good. All right. I got the SC loaded up. I can't feel my hands. We settled on $850. He made me a very good deal. But yeah, that guy was super cool. He hooked me up. $850. I'm gonna go back to Birmingham after barbecue. All right, we're heading out of Memphis, Tennessee. Home of St. Jude as well. Great people at the St. Jude Hospital. We're finally getting a look at this thing. We just stopped at a gas station. What do you think about my new toy?
You want my honest reaction? Usually on charity cases, you try to do something, you know, that's helpful to people, or maybe helps yourself, but
Yeah.
I don't even know if this is a good charity case.
Oh my gosh, dude, this is a nice car. What do you... It's got 370Z wheels. You just don't see the vision I see. Look, it's got no sunroof. Look at that. And there's only a little bit of rust up here.
That'll catch on fast, so.
Like what young Dolph said, we turn dirt into diamonds.
That's right. Well, pressure forms diamonds, so you're about to put a lot of pressure on this thing and yourself.
It looks like someone already did.
Maybe next time you get a good car though, like I don't know, a Fox body or something.
A Fox body. Andrew, thank you, sir, for riding with me. This was a great success. I appreciate you, sir. We are back in Birmingham, Alabama. The SC400 is up on the newly installed rack or lift, or if you're in the UK, ramp. My friend Boozer found and picked up this lift for me in Knoxville, Tennessee. Starting an automotive YouTube channel has been very expensive, but with friends like him and you guys watching, it's allowed me to keep this show on the road. If you enjoy these rebuild videos, please hit that subscribe button. Yes! Yes! So we can do a nice thorough inspection. Oh my gosh. Well, I had to take off this lower control arm for our friend Jack Thornton for Jack Builds It Toyota Supra. He needed a control arm, a factory one, since I got his aftermarket ones. And well, I got a bunch of parts for this car from Jack and even Freddie. So I'm going to insert that right here. So my friends said that they had some Lexus parts, well, Toyota parts to do the manual conversion, and it appears they're right. So I drove across the street down to get this tripod and drive shaft. Hey, do y'all guys want to, you want me to shout you out on my YouTube channel? I do YouTube videos.
You have a YouTube? Me too.
Yeah, it's called Elsie's World. Oh. And thanks to viewers like you, this channel's possible.
Like LC, like the letters L and C?
That's a great car, 500.
Yes.
You used to work for DDE?
Oh boy, let's...
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you like boats?
All right, so there's 2J parts. Yeah, hey,
yeah.
Thanks for opening up everything here. I'm trying to get this SC going. That doesn't look 1UZ friendly, but that's a nice fuel rail.
It is a nice fuel rail, and it's been welded here. I don't know what injectors are in here, but there are some. Then you have this guy. I don't know what oh, that's a Lamborghini part.
I don't think that'll work.
This is also not Supra.
Oh, it's BMW European.
This looks Supra-ish.
That is Toyota.
Yeah, so
That's the slave cylinder.
slave cylinder for, we got one of these. Remember this?
Version Series 2.
Yeah, look at that.
Wow.
Wow.
Better than Series 1.
You could put that on your wall. Oh, that's a McLaren.
McLaren.
Yeah, McLaren stuff.
This is a very diversified box that
It
you
is,
have
but
here,
we,
sirs.
Well, we got more stuff under here, I think. You want that one?
Okay, so
Lamborghini V12?
Lamborghini V12.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. Just do that swap real quick.
I got money for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna take all hands on deck here.
You got some stuff here. I believe this is a shifter for a W58.
Yep, tripod. What do we have here? A gold mine?
We do.
Those are GT3 door panels.
RS interior.
Oh wow! I'll let you know what all I exploit from these guys, because there's a lot of natural resources here on the wall. So yeah. All right, we're gonna dig in. Jack generously is hooking me up with some parts because I scratched his back. Now he's scratching mine. We get in the center right here. No,
Let me get it.
no, your hands are dirty. Ew.
Tiny bit dirty.
We have these lower control arms, knuckles, tie rods. Hey man, where'd you put those coilovers? Oh my God! You going to play baseball at Babe Ruth?
You do it. I'm like,
No.
Put on the war paint.
Yeah.
We got lower control arms. We have the knuckles, tie rods, and then we have the coilovers. But we got to climb all the way up there in the Boxo Supra, which is up here, and get that. So
When he says climb up there, oh, Are they on the top?
I think they're on the top.
Jack is climbing at it.
All the way to the tippy top.
You're not supposed to use, okay, I'm gonna go spot Jack. I'm gonna go make sure he doesn't fall. These are off the Supra, but they interchange with the Lexus SC, thankfully. Also, he really did me a solid and gave me a really good deal on this W58 transmission. Some people in the auto industry hate on this transmission because it doesn't hold big power, but I'm not making 600-700 horsepower, so this transmission is gonna do great. I always love getting to hang out with my friends at the Tavarish headquarters, and on top of that, it is so inspiring being around all these cars that were once junkers as well, that they brought back to life. And it's not every day you get to be around the Lamborghini Murcielago that was in The Fast and the Furious. And that is Freddie's Toyota Supra, aka the parts car. He does not like that. So don't ever call Freddie Supra a parts car in the comments. Please don't.
Don't go to his channel and say parts car. Don't do that.
All right, so I'm gonna get these parts loaded up, and everyone go to Jack's page and tell him thank you for me. That would be amazing. Whoa, Freddie's Supra has Brembos on it.
It has SRT.
These Lamborghinis are crazy. And welcome back to Birmingham. Oh my gosh, I really like this car so much. It is a Supra under here. I mean, everything's the same as a Supra. That's why we were able to swap that arm over. Yeah, so we'll have some fresh lower control arms going under here. This shock is definitely leaking. It looks very cruddy under here, but it's dry for the most part. Well, the transmission might be leaking somewhere, but what, I mean, look at the exhaust. It's a factory exhaust, and it actually looks pretty clean. But the good news is, other than it being surface dirty, it's solid. Oh, look at that. They put the O2 sensors go through the floor pan. Normally they run up to the engine harness or the engine loom. But man, it looks really good under here. You know, the pinch weld. Oh, yeah. Well, that needs to be fixed. But you know, when we saw this pinch weld over there, when I inspected the car, oh dear. Okay, it looks a bit worse from here now when it's up on the rack. Wow. Oh no. Dang. Okay, that's done it in. But you know, moving to the back, like everything looks nice and straight. Well, that okay, that's not good. That's not straight. That is bent. Look, you know what? It looks like something drug across the bottom. Oh yeah, and it had to impact right here. Man, what'd they hit? Mount Everest? The odometer would not turn on. Nothing on the cluster would power up. So we got to see how many miles are on this car, because I have no idea. I have no idea if it runs. I want to try to start it. We didn't even try to start it in Mississippi. All right. Well, that wasn't bolted down. I'm going to check some fuses here, see if we can find one for the gauge cluster, which I do not see one on here. Okay. You know what we are going to try? Ba-ba! This is the strut bar that I got while we were in Kansas. Let's make sure it fits. Please fit. Oh, yes! We got a strut bar. So that just braces the struts and just, you know, increases rigidity. Let's try to find the fuse box in this thing. SCs are luxury. They got a button over here. There's our very mint shift knob, but we're not gonna need this. There's a bunch of fuses, so that's very telling. There's a fuse box somewhere in here. wonder if our XM radio works still or not. Oh, hey. There's something. This is what we were looking for. I didn't see this earlier. It's got to be under here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Okay. I got the fuse out. It definitely has a blown 10 amp gauge cluster fuse, so I put a new one in there. I'm gonna check the oil before we try to start this thing. Actually looks pretty clean. Try this. Whoa, whoa, hey. Oh, it's on. Hey, there's the miles. 180,963 miles. Wait a second. Oh. It needs the oil changed at 178,000 miles. And this is in Helena, Arkansas. Whoa, that's amazing. So in 2008, it had 178. So in 17 years, the car is done like 2,000 miles roughly. All right, let's see if this baby starts. Oh, it tried. Oh, so that's hot. That's not good. Okay, it spins over. I hope the gas is okay in it. I didn't hear the fuel pump. This will be easy since the trunk interior is out. Well, there's our fuel tank. The reason I make sure the crankshaft would rotate with a breaker bar is because sometimes when the starter only clicks, it means the engine is locked up, but thankfully this one is not. I now check to see the condition of the fuel pump and check the fuel since I don't hear the fuel pump turning on. I mean, that's not great. Well, it's dry as a bone, which I think is good, and there's our fuel pump. I'm gonna pour some gas in here, and it's gonna pull up in here. And then it should run off the residue, or the vapor. It should run off that. And I'm gonna get a little tube for this so that it will meter the air. Don't worry, the squirrels will find a new home. Don't try that at home. If it backfires, it'll start a fire. So we'll get the fire extinguisher out. This is the parts car to the million mile Lexus. And if you watch that, you remember the duct tape boot that was on the million mile Lexus. So we're gonna borrow this. You know we're in bad shape when we're having to borrow the duct tape covered part, but I think it'll do the job. There we go. Yeah. This is out of the 350Z. Please start. Ow! Woo-hoo! Woo! I didn't even try that long, and that cable is smoking. I now dive into what ends up being days of diagnosing, testing parts, and trying to figure out why it isn't sparking, among many other issues. I also spent hours scouring the internet for the correct wiring diagram. I had no idea this car would push my brain power and patience as far as it did. Took out all the spark plugs. These are most likely the original plugs, and the wires might be original too, but I unplugged the coil So hopefully it doesn't spark, and I got the wires out of the way. It's not like there's any fuel to ignite, but I'm gonna spin the engine over. I've poured a little bit of ATF in all the cylinders with no plugs in it. So this way I can just rotate the engine and let it get lubricated again and hopefully free it up. These plugs look like original plugs. I now clean the battery ground to give it a much better contact, because maybe that's why it keeps getting so hot. And now I got some electrons cleaner, and we're gonna, oh, the spark plug's back in. I now start checking fuses again and find a few more blown, so it's time to go under the dash to see if a mouse chewed up some wiring, causing all these fuses to keep blowing. It looks okay.
Oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire.
It's literally smoking. Maybe the starter's grounding out, or one of the battery cables is like grounding out on something. I think it needs a new starter, and the starter on these is under the intake manifold. I think I'm gonna drop the whole engine to get the starter out. I think it's gonna be easier. Oh, hi there. We're pulling the engine out to put a new starter in, and we're putting the manual transmission in. I'm trying to get this crunchy old oil filter out. This looks like it was made before the financial crisis of 2008. I think we're gonna have to get that out later. Well, there's oil in it, so that's good. This is a very cool tool. I got this off Amazon. To get these stubborn ball joint tie rod things off that never want to come off, this contraption pushes it and saves the tie rod so it can be reused. A little dramatic, but yeah, it just does that and holds that part, and no more banging that off with a hammer. And use this fancy tool to get the exhaust hangers off. Now, it might sound like there's someone doing a urination in the background, but that's just the coolant. I do have to pee now. I wish I knew where my glasses were, so we'll just close our eyes. Easy. All right, everything is unhooked from the bottom. Now we come to the top. That's part of the plan. Everything's fine. Woo! The starter is located underneath the intake manifold, and these are notoriously difficult to change because of this. I go ahead and remove this 4-speed automatic transmission as well, since we will be using a 5-speed manual. There's the starter. There's our knock sensors. And yeah, an animal has been in there. Wow. After thoroughly vacuuming and blowing out the intake valley and intake ports, I install the new starter, gaskets, hoses, and even reroute and eliminate some vacuum lines for a much cleaner look. Then I can finally access the oil filter, and I replace it with an OEM Toyota filter. After that, I need to extract the ring gear from the flex plate because the kit I'm using for the manual transmission conversion requires me to reuse this on the aftermarket flywheel that they supplied. And before welding this on, I test fit it on the engine to make sure it will properly work and verify that the starter will engage with this flywheel and ring gear combination. I want to give a big thanks to Brunt Work Boots for sending me these awesome work boots so that I no longer burn my feet while welding. Next up, we gotta test fit the bell housing. The bell housing hits the catalytic converter. This is where the clutch slave cylinder bolts up. So that goes, supposed to go right there. So I have an idea. I'm taking the cat off and I'm gonna try to rotate it and bolt it back on to where it's a different angle here. Well, that's not gonna work. It looks like if I cut off and reuse the flange from the catalytic converter, I will be able to weld in a straight pipe here once the engine and the rest of the exhaust is back on the car. Now it's time to bolt up the new bell housing that came with the kit. This will allow me to directly bolt the W58 transmission up to the 1UZ engine. And again, this was never offered from the factory, so the fact that a company makes this bell housing that looks OEM is very cool. I then install ARP flywheel bolts with Loctite and ARP bolt grease, then torque them down the spec. My 1UZ here, it would not start, and when I watched back the video, it was barely turning over and the negative battery cable was smoking. I put a new starter in it. Do you think it'll run?
Probably.
Okay, and you just pointed out that these spark plug wires are from 1993?
That was a good year.
Yep, it was a good year.
That was a good year? I thought we were running Dunlops.
It's unmolested.
Oh yeah. Hopefully it runs. Before installing the pilot bearing, I always test it on the input shaft of the transmission to make sure it is the correct size. Next, I thoroughly clean the surface of the flywheel and pressure plate since they ship them with a light coat of oil to prevent corrosion. Then it's time to install the clutch with my homemade alignment tool since the kit did not include one. Pivot ball. Then I bolt the transmission to the engine without struggling at all. The engine and transmission are ready to install, but while everything is out of the way, I'm going to thoroughly clean the underside of the car so that all this dirt and grease won't be falling into my eyes while we work on this car, and I feel like it'll be really nice to have a very clean undercarriage. I sprayed down the whole underside with degreaser as well as this front brace, because it helps break apart all the dirt and debris to help it pressure wash off much easier. Well, it's the car's clean. I'm not. So all this undercoating came off, which is kind of good, because that means we can like make it look better than that. After Justin and I push all the nasty water out with a squeegee, I start chipping away all the old undercoating with a plastic trim tool. The reason I use the plastic tool is it's soft and it won't dent up the metal.
You've done your duty.
Once I do the paintwork in the future on this car, I will be able to easily apply new undercoating since this old stuff is coming off so easily. Oh, look at this. So this is why you use seam sealer. Look at the water that was just held in there. See all that dripping down? So there's water getting stuck in all these seams. These seams hold water where the metal laps together, how the car is built. And well, it's a problem. It'll make the car rust away. This is a very, very clean car for how old it is. It is rock solid, and it's been in Arkansas? There's a lot of square footage to cover, but now is the perfect time to get all this off after I pressure washed and the old seam sealer and undercoating failed and is currently trapping all this water and moisture behind it. I don't want this car to start corroding and rusting now, so it's best to go ahead and get this old stuff out of the way. And at this point, I think the underside of the car is more clean than the top side. One of my favorite things to do is suspension work. I remove the old shock so we can install the adjustable coilover suspension that I got while we were in Orlando from Jack and Freddie, and then I also install adjustable rear suspension arms so that I can replace not only the bent factory arm, but I will now have more adjustment since the car will be sitting lower than it was from the factory. You can see our arm is bent right there. That's going to throw our alignment off because it makes that rod shorter, so that will be replaced. With the old suspension arms out of the way, I had very good access to this crunchy old fuel line that I'm going to go ahead and replace before putting the new suspension arms back on. Old fuel line. Yuck. new fuel line. I take a moment to enjoy how clean the underside of the car now is. I've always wanted to clean under a car like this up on a lift, but I quickly have to get back to work because the next step is removing the automatic shifter to make room for our manual shift lever, and then my least favorite part, which is going under the dash to install our clutch pedal. Let's see what it's gonna take to put a clutch pedal in here. Oh, cool. They have a little cutout for it. Let's see what's behind that. Yes! It's a little template of where I need to drill. It's so nice when they do that. You see, that's where the bolt holes and everything goes. All right, I got my pilot holes drilled. There's no way we're getting a camera under there. Now, I got the big dog daddy. So we actually have the aftermarket clutch pedal, and came with a pedal pad. Actually, I think I had to buy that separate. And then this goes on the other side. Boom. And our firewall goes right here. So this just pushes hydraulic fluid down to our clutch slave cylinder and disengages the throwout bearing so we can have ourselves a manual transmission. And there it is. Our plate is bolted down, and it's time to install our master cylinder. Ooh. Hey! And look at this. We got a pedal. So I'll need to trim down this pedal. Yep. Oh yeah, that's it. Since I just got this lift, I don't have any accessories yet, such as an engine table with casters on it, so that it can be lined up when dropping the body back down onto the engine, but I'll improvise as usual with these blocks of wood that I have. An interesting fact is my fellow rednecks used these same block of woods to build the Bass Pro Shop pyramids. Yo! This thing running. So I had to make a little clutch cancel switch bypass. This should allow us to crank the car up. This is ingenuity at its finest. We're gonna jump these two wires here because a forum I found from 2004 said this is what you do. So I don't think the car's changed since '04, so hopefully it works. Let's see if it runs. I didn't hook up the fuel lines because the fuel tank's still disgusting. I just poured some gas into the intake tube as one does. All right, you do the honors.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Nothing?
The starter's not clicking. I jumped these wires, that's what the internet said.
That can't be wrong then.
Dang it. The starter's not clicking, so the clutch cancel switch is not bypassed. Were you here last time we kind of went through the same thing?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Round 2.
What the heck? So I just took the starter relay out and I'm gonna try to just put straight power to the start signal wire. And hopefully it works. All right, the key's on. That's not good. This is the same problem I was having before. Been doing lots of diagnosing. But this, when we try to start it, it goes down to 1 volt. So it's trying to burn the car down. The cables get hot. This is the new starter. This is the old starter. The only difference, this one's doing the same thing, but when it's out of the car, it's fine. The only variable here is the cables going to the starter. I gotta pull the motor back out. And we'll check those cables. Come in. So this cable goes to the starter. This goes straight to the fuse box. Even with the whole fuse box disconnected, the whole car disconnected, it drops the power down. My brain hurts. So these are the wires going to the starter. This is the start signal and positive cable. And you see why we had to lift the body off, because it's going through all these shields and sheathing. There's no oil in the engine. Ooh. Thank God it did not start. I've never forgotten to put oil back in the engine, but I most definitely did this time. Yes, I do have a funnel. Can you zoom in on it? It's right there at the edge of the table. I do. There's 2 right there. I always forget that too. This little guy is the start signal wire that has been giving us trouble. I noticed it plugs in right here. So I just unplugged it. And I'm gonna go straight to the start signal wire to bypass all of this to see if it'll actually spin over now. It should. Okay, that sounded healthy. That's a freaking problem this whole time. This start signal wire. I plugged it back in. We're gonna test that this indeed is what the problem was. This wire connects to here. So there should be, this shouldn't work now. It shouldn't turn over. I know we're bouncing around. What is going on? Why is it working now? This is all we unplugged. Because this just confirms that we're good. We're not pulling the starter back out. We're not pulling this apart. All this is fine. If we lower it back down and plug this back in and it doesn't start again and just drains the battery, then there's something up
in the harness.
In the harness. Where'd my jumper wire go?
12.4.
12.4. It's pretty hot. It's hot. I don't know what to do except pull the dashboard and try to find issues. Maybe I can try it again and then feel around and try to find wires getting hot and trace those to whatever's going wrong. Maybe it's the engine harness, but I can't find anything wrong or chewed up. Very defeated and tired right now. After getting some much needed rest and spending a lot of time finding the proper wiring diagrams, I come back with a fresh mind and plenty of ideas for things I want to try, such as adding newer and bigger ground cables directly to the battery. I haven't been this stumped in a while. I think I needed this. Not really, but I can't get it to spark. I don't know what's going on. I cannot find wiring diagrams, but I did finally find a wiring diagram for this car, so I want to show you what I just Frankenstein down here. So if the diagram's correct, this is the factory ECU. I have this power cable going to it. I have power going to my sensors, power those up, and a few more sensors being powered up in the starter. The igniter is grounded. I realized when I dropped it down, I've left this bolted up the whole time, and it was all clean paint under here, so I sanded that down to bare metal. If these igniters aren't grounded, it will never spark, it'll never run. So we're gonna check the spark and see if we're getting spark now. We are so deep in the weeds of vehicle diagnostic right now. All right, so this is a test light. It is a low voltage, so if I connect this to the wrong thing, it won't hurt it. This, we're gonna put power to our igniter, and that should send spark up here. It is not. That's not good. Let's add another ground to this igniter. I just heard it click. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, we got one side works. Finally, we got some spark. When I hit this wire, okay, this coil has power, but it's not activating, so I think this coil might be bad. I'm gonna swap it out with one from the million-mile Lexus parts car. This coil was not tight. This bolt's just hand tight in there. I think that'll mess with the grounding of the coil. So that probably fried this coil because it was getting intermittent ground for so long. Yeah. Okay, we got spark. This thing might run now. We finally have spark. This whole time, the igniters were not grounded and that coil was fried. I'm gonna put some fuel in it and we're gonna see if it'll run. Let's do it. Fire extinguisher, fuel. Fire in the hole. Yes! It hit! Oh my god, it ran! I'm so happy. It's alive! Alright, let's put this engine back in the car. After a little celebration, I made a list of everything that was wrong with the car that I can actually remember. Also, in the process, remember the ignition switch wasn't working either, so I'm really hoping that that's fixed now. So to tally all this stuff up, we needed fuses, starter, left side ignition coil, igniter ground, battery ground cable, chassis ground cables, and possibly the ignition switch is fried. Sounds good. The ignition switch works. I'm gonna carry on and put the front suspension on because we got all this new front suspension. I just have to see it on the ground. Even though I am completely worn out, I have a huge boost of energy after hearing it run, so I install the front shocks, control arms, steering knuckles, and for the icing on the cake, the brand new Advan TC4 black chrome wheels. Love it. I am pumped. This thing kind of reminds me of the Cletus McFarlane Victor Rat Rod Supra, except it's an SC and it doesn't make 1,000 horsepower. I feel so good about it. It runs, it looks better, and I can't wait to drive it. It finally runs. This one really pushed my patience, but there's still so much more to do and a 350Z to paint, amongst other glorious things. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.